Howdy folks, Jim back with you again. I was coming to work this morning and the Lord put this scripture on my mind. I wanted to share it with you a little bit. I've heard this verse a lot and I know how it's used to just flat wear people out. And it comes out of Matthew chapter 10, verse 37, verse 33, But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I deny before my Father which is in heaven. And in Luke it says, if you're ashamed of him, he'll be ashamed of you. And when I think about them verses and how it's used, man, people wear people out with it. So in other words, you're in a situation and you should have said something you feel like, you should have did something you feel like, and you didn't. And now all of a sudden here comes the conviction. You should have said this, you should have did this, you should have quoted this Bible verse, and now Jesus is going to deny you before the Father. You know, it's amazing how much condemnation can come to you in this stuff because people use it that way. And by the way, when you see me spitting, it's because I'm chewing a little snuff, and Tracy tells me, if you're going to make videos, stop chewing. I'm working on a baby. God bless your heart. She loves me. So the Lord dropped that in my heart this morning. One thing when you read the Bible, you got to keep it in context. Okay? In Matthew chapter 10, Jesus has just got his 12 disciples, and he's sent his 12 disciples out. And he tells them to go out and heal the sick and raise the dead and do all of these things. And when you go into this house and they receive you and all of this stuff, and he's telling them, don't fear. And he's telling them you'll have persecutions. All of these things. And then he throws this in there. If you deny me, I'll deny you before the Father which is in heaven. So what does he mean right there? It's along the same lines, in the same context as blasphemy. And I never could really understand that was, because even still yet today, people will talk about blasphemy and they'll think it's some magic word that if you say it, you can't be forgiven. You know, if you blaspheme, it's not forgiven in this world or the world to come. So what is it? What is this denying the Lord and he'll deny you? I want to try to make it as simple as I can. Let's say, you know, I've got this book right here. Let's say that this book, I know it's a Bible, but let's just pretend for a minute. Let's say that this book is Jesus. Okay? Now, Jesus is the only way to the Father. There's no other way. You can't come to the Father except by him. Right? That's Bible. So if I deny him, then how can I come to the Father? I can't, because he's the only way. So it's not a condemnation thing coming at you. It's not you was at Walmart yesterday and you should have quoted a Bible verse and you didn't, and now you got to live in shame for the rest of your life and worry about the fires of hell getting you and God giving you kidney stones. It's just, and that's what blasphemy is too. Blasphemy is refusing Jesus. Okay? If I refuse him, I can't be forgiven. Why can't I be forgiven? Because he is forgiveness. Right? He's it. When I receive forgiveness, and forgiveness is something that was done 2,000 years ago on the cross. You don't sin today and I gotta go beg God to forgive me. He already forgave you. He forgave you before you was even born. He forgave you in the person of Jesus Christ. So for me to refuse Jesus would be to refuse forgiveness. It would be to blaspheme. It would be to deny him. So it's really just that simple. Okay, this is a little short clip I'm doing because I know how people use it. And they say, oh man, I was in a situation yesterday and oh boy, I denied the Lord and they was torturing me and I denied the Lord. That's not what he's talking about. That's taking verses out of context. Jesus was telling his disciples, he's it. He's the way. There's no way to the Father except through him. Now, Paul, this apostle Paul, he picks up on this. And in 2 Timothy, let me read you what he says. He's talking to Timothy, his son. Now, this is maybe the last letter that Paul wrote. He's in prison. He's about to die. Great words he's going to share here. I mean, just think, if you only got a few hours to go and this is your last letter, you know, what are you going to say? This is in 2 Timothy. Let me read this. It is a faithful saying. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 11. It's a faithful saying. For if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. Paul said this is a faithful saying. This is true. He covered that in Romans 6. Jesus died at the cross 2,000 years ago. That was my death. Let me explain something to you. We are in Christ. So let's say this Bible is Jesus, and I'm going to pull out my pocket knife, and let's say this pocket knife is me. When I become in him, you see that I put that in there? Boom, I close it up. We are dead and our life is hid with Christ in God. So in other words, the history of this person, this book, now became the history of me. Yeah, me. And whatever happens to this book happens to me. Why? Because I'm in him. So if he died on the cross and I'm in him, guess what? I died when he died. Now all my history is gone. He took my history, and now all his history is my history. Not only that, whatever's the future of him is also my future. Why? Because I'm in him. Do you get that? That's just a little simple way to put it. That's a knife in the book. Illustration 101. It's a faithful saying, if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. I just showed you. If we suffer with him, we shall also reign with him. Same thing. I'm in him. The world hates him. Therefore, it hates us. Why? Because we're in him and he's in us. So the suffering he goes through, we go through. Right? Okay. If we deny him, he shall also deny us. Same context. Same context. Paul is not bringing in some other condemnation because Paul's talking about two different types of people. When Jesus died on the cross and rose again, used to be it was Jews and Gentiles. Okay? You had the Jews, they had the law, they had the oracles of God. The Gentiles didn't. They were outside of the covenant. But now the two classes of people, if you will, changed. Now you have believers and non-believers. Okay? Same principle here. Same principle. So if I deny him, if I'm not in him, he'll deny me because I'm not in him. And there's no way to the Father except through him. But if I'm in him, oh, there's another verse here. We always got to keep it in context. I love it. We got to keep it in context. There's another verse here. And I'm going to give you that verse. Now listen to this. This is beautiful. In verse 13, if we believe not, yet he abideth faithful. He cannot deny himself. Now remember, I'm in the book. And you know, there are days when old Jimbo, he ain't got much faith. He's pretty worn out. He's downtrodden. He's beat up. But guess where I am? I'm in him. I'm in him. And you know what? He abides faithful. He can't deny himself. Now think about that. So I don't have to worry if I go out and I blow it. You know what? I'm in him and he's in me. And you know what it says in Hebrews? He'll never leave us. He'll never forsake us. In other words, he's not going to come down here one day and say, Jimbo, I'm sick and tired. You're a blooming idiot. I'm tired. Out of here. No. He abideth faithful. He cannot deny himself. And when it says he cannot deny himself, we are so much one with him, we have become his body. That would be like me saying to my arm, you know, arm, sick and tired of you. You're out of here. I would never do that. I would never do that. You know, when this arm, I told you in that last video, had poison oak on it. I could have said, tired of you, arm. You didn't have faith. You got poison oak. No. I put calamine lotion on my arm because I wanted that arm to be healed, because I could not deny myself. How much more so Jesus cannot deny us? Sometimes when you chew, you got to spit. So I'm sorry, baby. Please forgive me. So we are in him. If we believe not. Sometimes we have those days. Yet he abideth faithful. He cannot deny himself. Don't let these crazy so-called preachers put you in condemnation because you had a bad day and call you names and backsliders and you ain't as hunky-dory, holy-woly as they are. Hogwash. I don't live by my faith anyway. Paul said in Galatians 2:20, we live by his faith. He keeps us. We're in him. And you know what he says? If we're in his hand, none can pluck us out. And that includes you. You can't even pluck yourself out. Listen, you might think you're running from the Lord, but you know what the old psalmist said? If I make my bed in hell, behold, the Lord is there. So I don't know what you're going to do to get away from him. You can't. And thank God you can't. Anyway, I just wanted to share a little short clip with you. The verses that they come at us with about denying the Lord. If we're ashamed of him, he'll be ashamed of us. Don't let people use that. When Jesus spoke that, he was speaking of the very thing I'm talking about, denying him because he's the only way. Not you trying to preach to somebody at Walmart or you didn't quote the right verses in the right circumstance. None of that. None of that. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. You like this video? Share it. Hit the subscribe button, man. I've told you I'm trying to get the subscribers up to 1 million. I've got 19 so far, so we're well on the way. If I keep on track, in exactly 17,238 years, I'll have 1 million subscribers unless you help me. Think about that. God bless you all and have a great day.